Hey man, before you can ever understand the way women behave, pull away, get confused, act emotional, change their minds, or switch between affection and distance, you have to understand something deeper than dating, deeper than attraction, deeper than behavior. You have to understand how the female mind processes the world itself. Not in a judgmental way, not in a superior or inferior way, but in a different way. The female brain has evolved for thousands of years to prioritize connection, safety, bonding, intuition, and emotional awareness. That doesn't make it irrational, it makes it tuned to a different kind of reality. And if you don't understand that wavelength, you'll spend your whole life confused by decisions that make perfect sense to her, but look unpredictable or contradictory to you. A woman doesn't think in straight lines like most men do. A man's mind tends to move from point A to point B, seeking clarity, order, and solution. A woman's mind moves circularly, exploring possibilities, emotional tones, subtle signals, unspoken meanings, and potential outcomes simultaneously. This isn't chaos, it's intuition. While a man zooms in, a woman zooms out. She feels the environment before she decides how to act in it. She reads tone, tension, energy, body language, and emotional temperature long before she analyzes the facts. That's why she senses things you think you've hidden. That's why she reacts emotionally to things you consider minor. Her brain prioritizes emotional context over logical detail, because for her, emotion is data. And because emotion is data, a woman's perception of reality shifts with her emotional state. This is why her reasoning changes depending on how she feels, not what is objectively true. To her, the emotional truth is the truth. If she feels ignored, it's real to her, even if you were simply busy. If she feels unloved, it matters more than the fact you said "I love you" yesterday. This doesn't make her unstable. It means her brain is wired to track emotional patterns, not static facts. She evaluates relationships based on how they feel over time, not what's logically consistent. So when her emotional experience shifts, her interpretation of everything else shifts with it. The female brain is also designed for connection before clarity. A man often wants answers, definitions, and direction. A woman wants resonance, emotional alignment, and understanding. She needs to feel connected before she can think clearly. If she senses conflict, tension, or emotional distance, her reasoning shuts down because the brain regions responsible for logic become overshadowed by the brain regions responsible for emotional safety. She isn't avoiding the truth, she's avoiding emotional danger. To her, uncertainty is threatening. That's why she seeks reassurance at moments men find unnecessary or dramatic. Safety is not a luxury for her, it's a neurological need. One of the biggest secrets about the female brain is this: women think in layers, not lines. While a man might focus on the main point of the conversation, a woman is tracking the tone, the timing, the posture, the subtext, the history, the future implications, and the emotional meaning all at once. This is why she brings up things from months ago, not because she's stuck in the past, but because her mind stores emotional memories more vividly than logical ones. She doesn't remember what happened, she remembers how it felt. And to her, feelings are threads that connect events across time. What seems irrelevant to you may be deeply tied to her emotional map of the relationship. Women also reason through association, not isolation. A man separates each moment. This happened, end of story. A woman links moments together. This happened, and it means something because of what happened last time. She interprets patterns faster than facts. Her brain is wired for relational memory, not event memory. So when she reacts strongly to something small, it's rarely about the moment itself. It's about the emotional pattern she believes it represents. She's not overreacting to the action, she's reacting to the meaning she assigns to it. And unless you understand the meaning she's responding to, her reactions will always feel extreme. Another core truth: women process emotion first, logic second. Not because they're incapable of logic, but because their brain routes emotional information through more neural pathways than a man's does. Emotion is their starting point, not their final destination. This is why she may say something intense in the moment that she later softens when she feels calmer. Her words are snapshots of her emotional state, not final conclusions. If you take every emotional expression literally, you'll misunderstand her. If you listen beneath the emotion, you'll understand exactly what she means. Women express emotion as a way to reach clarity, not because they already have it, and this is where most men get confused. A woman's reasoning follows her emotional clarity. She cannot give you a definite answer about the relationship, the future, or her feelings until she understands how she feels about it. Men tend to think first and feel second. Women feel first and think second. For her, logic without emotional alignment feels incomplete, even unsafe. This is why when she's overwhelmed, upset, or conflicted, she pulls back or becomes hard to understand. Her brain is still processing. She isn't withholding clarity, she just hasn't reached it yet. And the more pressure you apply, the more overwhelmed she becomes, slowing the process even further. Another important part of the female mind is her heightened awareness of social cues and subtle signals. Women evolve to detect emotional shifts quickly, for survival, for children, for community, for relationships. This intuition is why she notices when you're distant, even before you realize it. Why she senses tension you haven't acknowledged. Why she picks up inconsistencies in your tone or energy instantly. Her brain tracks micro-expressions and emotional shifts almost automatically. This doesn't mean she's hyper-vigilant. It means she's emotionally intelligent, in a way men often underestimate. Her intuition is not magic, it's pattern recognition. But the biggest truth of all is this. Women reason as relational beings. Every thought, decision, doubt, and choice passes through the filter of relationships, with you, with herself, with the world. Her mind constantly analyzes connection, harmony, security, and emotional tone. This is why relationships carry so much weight for her. Why affection matters. Why reassurance matters. Why consistency matters. Her emotional world is not separate from her logical world, it's the foundation of it. If the emotional ground is shaky, everything feels uncertain. If the emotional ground is stable, everything feels possible. Once you understand that the female mind is built on emotional pattern recognition rather than linear logic, you begin to see why her reactions often feel bigger than the situation itself. She's not responding only to the present moment, she's responding to every past moment that felt similar. Her brain stores emotional experiences with intense detail, almost like bookmarks in her memory. When something happens today that resembles a feeling she once had, maybe feeling ignored, unsafe, unprioritized, or misunderstood, her body reacts instantly, even if her mind hasn't fully processed why. She experiences emotion first, explanation second. This is why she might cry before she can articulate what's wrong, or pull away before she can explain her fear. Men misunderstand this as irrationality, but it's not. Her emotional memory system is simply faster than her verbal reasoning system. She feels it before she can name it, and if you take her reaction personally instead of understanding the emotional trigger, the gap between you widens in ways neither of you intended. A woman's mind also organizes relationships through something psychologists call narrative, meaning she doesn't just remember what happened, she builds a story around it. Every experience with you becomes part of an internal storyline she carries about the relationship. That storyline affects how she interprets your actions. If the narrative is, he's reliable, he cares, he loves me, then even your mistakes get interpreted positively. But if the narrative shifts to, he's drifting, I don't feel secure, I don't know where I stand, then even small things get interpreted as danger signs. This is why once a woman mentally checks out, it feels almost impossible to pull her back. You're not fixing one fight, you're trying to rewrite an entire emotional storyline she has created, and rewriting a story is far harder than solving a problem. Most men try to argue the facts without realizing the facts aren't the problem, the storyline is. One of the deepest elements of the female brain is her sensitivity to disconnection. Even a subtle change in your energy, a shorter reply, less enthusiasm, a shift in tone activates her emotional alert system. She doesn't need you to explain anything, she feels it. Her mind tracks emotional stability, the way a man might track logical consistency. If something feels off, her brain fills in the gaps with fear-based possibilities, not because she wants drama, but because her brain prioritizes emotional safety above all else. So when she asks questions that sound repetitive, when she seeks reassurance, when she worries about things you consider small, she's not being needy, she's scanning for connection. Once she feels secure again, her reasoning stabilizes. But if she never receives that sense of safety, her mind begins building scenarios, predictions, and assumptions as a way to prepare for potential emotional pain. Another thing men often misunderstand: a woman's reasoning is not built around winning an argument the way a man might approach it. She's not debating to be right, she's expressing to be understood. When she gets emotional, when she raises her voice, when she brings up things from the past, it's not because she wants to overpower you, it's because she's trying to connect dots emotionally. She is thinking out loud, processing in real time, and using emotional expression to reach clarity. When a man treats this as a debate, she feels unseen. When he responds to emotion with logic, she feels dismissed. When he tries to end the conversation prematurely, she feels abandoned. The female brain resolves emotional tension through communication, not silence. And this is why withdrawing during conflict triggers her more than the conflict itself to her. Silence feels like emotional abandonment, which her brain interprets as a threat. The female brain also contains a powerful mechanism tied to anticipatory reasoning. She often thinks ahead emotionally, imagining how something might feel in the future. This is why women sometimes seem to overreact to potential issues that haven't happened yet. She's not catastrophizing for drama, she's trying to protect herself emotionally. She looks at patterns, behaviors, inconsistencies, and small vulnerabilities as indicators of future emotional risk. To her, a small issue today might represent a larger pain tomorrow. So when she wants clarity, reassurance, or consistency, it's not because she's controlling. She's trying to prevent emotional damage before it happens. Men often mistake this for overthinking, but as predictive intuition. Her brain is constantly analyzing emotional possibilities, not just emotional realities. Another defining feature of the female mind is that she processes connection through communication and affection through presence. When she talks, she isn't just sharing information, she's bonding. When she asks about your day, she's not collecting data, she's creating emotional closeness. Men bond through shared activities and problem solving. Women bond through emotional exchange. Her brain releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone, during deep conversation, vulnerability, and intimacy. This is why she feels closer after long talks or emotional moments, and it's why emotional withdrawal from a man feels like betrayal to her, not because she's sensitive, but because her bonding mechanism is disrupted. When you go silent or emotionally distant, her brain interprets it as a break in connection, which triggers anxiety, confusion, or sadness. She's not overreacting, she's biologically wired to respond that way. The female brain also has a heightened mirror neuron system, which makes her emotionally absorb the environment and the people she cares about. This is why she can feel your stress even when you're not talking about it, why she can sense tension when you think you're hiding it well, why she changes emotionally based on your energy. Her brain mirrors the emotional states around her, especially from people she loves. This means that if you're tense, she feels it. If you're distant, she senses it immediately. If you're hiding something, her intuition catches it even without evidence, and if you're emotionally grounded, she becomes calmer too. Her emotional stability is heavily influenced by the stability of the relationship, not because she's weak, but because her brain is built for connection, not isolation. Another powerful truth: women reason through emotionally contextual logic, meaning her decisions depend heavily on the feelings surrounding the situation. While men often separate logic from emotion, a woman integrates them. She evaluates how something feels, how it aligns emotionally, and what it means for connection all at once. This is why her choices sometimes seem contradictory to men. She's not choosing the best option logically, she's choosing the option that feels safest emotionally. This is why she may leave a stable man for someone who makes her feel alive, or stay with someone who gives her emotional security, even if he lacks material stability. Her decisions are based on emotional resonance, not external measurement. The worst mistake a man can make is assuming she sees the world the way he does. The female mind also uses relational coherence when evaluating people. She doesn't measure you by what you say, she measures you by how your actions align with the relationship's emotional rhythm. If you're consistent, she feels safe. If you're unpredictable, she feels threatened. If you're present, she feels valued. If you're detached, she feels replaceable. Her reasoning is anchored in the emotional quality of your presence, not the quantity of your actions. That's why you can do 10 good things and still hurt her with one moment of disconnection. Her brain doesn't tally tasks, it measures emotional patterns, and when the pattern shifts, her interpretation of the entire relationship shifts with it. And finally, women think relationally because their deepest need is understanding, not winning. Their deepest fear is emotional abandonment, not conflict. Their deepest desire is connection, not control. Women reason through emotion because emotion is the language of their inner world. They make decisions based on how things feel, because feeling is the foundation of their reality. When you understand this, when you stop taking her emotional reactions personally, stop misinterpreting her fears as accusations, stop dismissing her needs as drama, everything changes. You begin to see that her emotional world is not an obstacle but a map that explains her behaviors, her doubts, her warmth, her distance, her intensity, her softness. And once you understand how she thinks, you stop fighting her mind and start navigating it with clarity. Once you step deeper into the inner workings of the female mind, you begin to realize something most men never understand. Women don't think in moments, they think in emotional atmospheres. A man might evaluate a situation based on what happened today, in this hour, in this conversation, but a woman evaluates based on the entire emotional climate surrounding the relationship. She can love you deeply, feel connected, feel close, and still get overwhelmed if the emotional atmosphere becomes too tense or uncertain. To her, the emotional environment is the relationship. If the atmosphere feels warm, she feels safe. If it feels cold, she feels threatened. And this is why small changes in your tone or energy can have large effects on her perception. She's not responding to the moment, she's responding to the atmosphere she feels forming around it. A crucial part of how women think comes from something psychologists call emotional salience, meaning her brain automatically ranks emotionally charged events as important, whether positive or negative. This is why she remembers the exact tone you used during a disagreement 6 months ago, or why she recalls specific phrases you said that you don't even remember. She didn't store those details out of spite. Her brain flagged them as meaningful because the emotional intensity was high. Meanwhile, emotionally neutral events fade for her faster than they do for men. This is why she may overlook peaceful days, but vividly remember emotional ones. She's not dwelling, her brain simply stores emotional memories with a stronger imprint. Understanding this will change how you speak to women forever, because you'll realize that emotional moments last longer in her mind than logical explanations ever will. Another layer of the female mind is her strong orientation toward interpersonal harmony. She reasons through the lens of relational stability, which means she constantly monitors whether the connection feels equal, mutual, and emotionally balanced. If she feels like she's giving more than she's receiving, her mind becomes restless. If she senses you withdrawing, her mind becomes anxious. If she senses you being overly available, her mind becomes suspicious or overwhelmed. Her emotional calibration is delicate because it's tied to the part of the brain responsible for social bonding. She doesn't just want connection, she wants harmony. If harmony disappears, her entire reasoning process gets tinted by unease. This isn't manipulation, it's a deep psychological need for relational equilibrium. Something else men underestimate is how deeply women depend on contextual intuition. Her intuition isn't psychic or magical, it's built from thousands of subtle cues her brain is processing at once. The pitch of your voice, the rhythm of your breathing, the softness or stiffness in your body language, the micro delays in your replies. She's absorbing all of it subconsciously. Her mind reasons through clusters of signals, not isolated ones. That's why she often just knows something is off before you've said anything. Her brain is constantly comparing present cues with past emotional patterns, making predictions before logic ever kicks in. This is why lying to a woman feels impossible. Her intuition is simply pattern recognition, operating with emotional intelligence. Another major feature of female reasoning is their reliance on emotional coherence. Men often compartmentalize work here, love here, stress here. Women tend to integrate emotion in one area, influences thoughts in another. If something is bothering her at work, it bleeds into how she communicates at home. If the relationship feels uncertain, it affects her mood in other areas. Her brain doesn't isolate emotional categories the way a man's often does. This is why she may seem upset for no reason. There is a reason, but she feels it across multiple areas, not in one. When a woman's emotional coherence is disturbed, her entire system feels misaligned. She doesn't need you to fix the situation. She needs emotional grounding, so her thinking can align again. A woman's brain is also shaped powerfully by anticipatory anxiety, especially in relationships. Her mind constantly simulates potential threats to emotional stability, not because she wants problems, but because biological evolution wired her to keep connection secure for family, for survival, for community. This is why she sometimes imagines worst-case scenarios, even when things are going well. It's not negativity, it's preparation. She wants to avoid emotional pain, and her mind tries to foresee what could go wrong before it happens. To a man, This can feel like overthinking or unnecessary stress, but to her, it feels like emotional protection. When she asks questions that feel uncomfortable or probing, she's trying to anticipate emotional danger, not create it. One of the deepest truths is this: women reason through emotional rhythms, not fixed logic. Her desires, her thoughts, her concerns, and her conclusions shift as her emotional environment shifts. This doesn't mean she's inconsistent, it means her reasoning is dynamic, constantly recalibrating based on the emotional flow of the relationship. If the emotional rhythm is stable, she thinks clearly and feels secure. If the rhythm becomes unpredictable, her thinking becomes reactive. The mistake men make is assuming she will think the same way tomorrow as she does today, but her mind recalculates daily based on emotional input. Understanding this removes the frustration most men feel when she seems to change her mind. She isn't changing her mind, she's responding to a new emotional rhythm. Another misunderstood aspect: women reason relationally because they derive a strong sense of identity from connection. Her brain uses social bonds as emotional anchors. If the relationship feels strong, her self-perception becomes strong. If the relationship feels uncertain, her identity feels threatened. This is why she reacts so intensely to emotional distance. It doesn't just feel like losing connection with you, it feels like losing connection with herself. Men often criticize this as dependency, but it's not. It's a different structure of psychological identity. Women form themselves through relational experiences more than men do. When you understand this, her emotional needs stop feeling like demands and start feeling like reflections of her internal architecture. Women also have a heightened sensitivity to emotional inconsistency, especially from men. When your behavior shifts, even subtly, her mind tries to decode it instantly. A delayed text, a different tone, less eye contact, less warmth. These micro-changes activate the part of her brain responsible for threat detection. To her, inconsistency is not inconvenience, it's danger. Not physical danger, but emotional danger. She begins imagining possibilities because she's trying to regain control over uncertainty. When she asks, "Are we okay?" she's not nagging, she's trying to restore emotional certainty, so her reasoning can stabilize. Men often see this as insecurity, but it's a biological sensitivity to emotional unpredictability. Finally, women think and reason in ways that are deeply tied to their emotional reality, not because they lack logic, but because their emotional world is richer, deeper, and more intricately wired than most men realize. They are intuitive because their brains process emotional signals faster. They are expressive because communication helps them regulate emotion. They seek reassurance because their mind relies on connection for emotional stability. They remember emotionally intense moments because their brains record them with stronger detail. When you understand these things, you stop expecting her to think like you and start understanding her in the way she actually experiences the world. And that understanding gives you an advantage most men will never have: the ability to navigate her emotional world without losing your own grounding. Once you understand how the female mind processes emotion, intuition, and relational meaning, you start to see why her attachment patterns are so strong, so vivid, and sometimes so overwhelming. A woman doesn't attach through logic, she attaches through emotional imprinting. When she feels safe, desired, understood, and emotionally attuned to a man, her brain locks those experiences into long-term memory. These emotional imprints shape how she behaves with him forever. But the same mechanism works for negative experiences. Emotional withdrawal, unpredictability, or inconsistency also get stored, sometimes even more strongly. So when she reacts intensely to something you consider minor, she's not reacting to the moment, she's reacting to old emotional imprints being rekindled. To her, past emotional patterns blend seamlessly into present relationships. Her reasoning flows through memory, feeling, and anticipation at the same time. Another part of her reasoning process comes from what psychologists call internal working models, mental frameworks she built early in life about what love feels like, how connection works, and what to expect from people. These models run in the background of her brain, guiding how she interprets your behavior. If she grew up with chaos, inconsistency feels familiar. If she grew up with emotional distance, closeness feels overwhelming. If she grew up with stability, uncertainty feels dangerous. Her brain isn't just reacting to you, it's reacting to the emotional blueprint she's carried since childhood. This is why two women can react completely differently to the same situation. Her mind is filtering everything through the lens of her emotional history. When it comes to attraction, the female brain operates on a mix of emotional intensity and relational safety. She's drawn to the man who makes her feel, but she stays with the man who makes her secure. This is why she may feel chemistry with someone unpredictable, but can't build a life with him. It's also why she may feel safe with someone dependable, but lose passion if the emotional rhythm goes flat. Attraction for women is not static, it shifts as the emotional environment shifts. Her reasoning process constantly reevaluates. Do I feel desired? Do I feel valued? Do I feel seen? Do I feel chosen? These questions guide her decisions far more than external logic. She's not being complex, she's responding to emotional dynamics that her mind treats as essential signals. Women also reason through emotional consequence, which is why they often worry ahead or think deeply about decisions men consider minor. Before making a choice, she imagines how it will feel, how it will affect connection, how it will influence the relationship dynamic, and what emotional ripple effect it may create. Men often think in terms of, does this make sense? Women often think in terms of, how will this feel? The two approaches aren't opposites, they're different operating systems. Her brain is wired to consider emotional impact because emotional security is central to her well-being. This is why she needs reassurance before taking important steps, why she asks questions men find unnecessary, and why she overthinks decisions men find simple. She's not confused, she's cautious, because her emotional system is deeply tied to relational outcomes. And here's something most men never grasp. A woman's silence rarely means indifference. When a man goes quiet, he's usually processing or detaching. When a woman goes quiet, it often means she's overwhelmed, disappointed, or protecting herself emotionally. Her mind becomes quieter when she can't make sense of how she feels. She withdraws not because she's done, but because she needs emotional space to reorganize her internal world. Her reasoning process slows down when she can't find alignment between what she feels and what she experiences. Silence for her is not escape, it's emotional recalibration. She's trying to maintain internal stability while navigating emotional tension. She hasn't fully decoded yet. Another important aspect is how women handle emotional conflict internally. Her mind doesn't separate emotional issues from relational issues. To her, they're intertwined. When she feels hurt, she doesn't just feel pain, she questions the relationship. When she feels disconnected, she doesn't just feel lonely, she questions the future. When she feels ignored, she doesn't just feel dismissed, she questions your commitment. Her reasoning system interprets emotional discomfort as relational instability, because in her psychological framework, emotional harmony is the foundation of stability. Men often misinterpret this as dramatic or exaggerated, but it's not. It's simply her way of assessing the emotional value and safety of the connection. Women also make decisions based on felt reality, not factual reality. If something feels wrong, it is wrong in her mental landscape. If something feels off, it's meaningful, even without evidence. If something feels emotionally heavy, it matters, even if it doesn't make logical sense. She trusts her emotional signals more than external measurements, because her emotional system has guided her throughout her life. This is why she might question your intentions, even when your actions seem clear. She's not mistrusting you, she's listening to her emotional resonance. To a woman, emotional inconsistency is more alarming than logical inconsistency. Her reasoning prioritizes emotional truth over factual detail. Another powerful mechanism in the female brain is her ability to merge emotional and relational memory, meaning she doesn't just remember what someone did, she remembers how it shaped the relationship. Her mind keeps emotional score not out of resentment, but out of relational tracking. She remembers when you showed up and when you didn't. She remembers when you were emotionally present and when you weren't. She remembers the moments that built the bond and the moments that cracked it. This is why her reactions sometimes feel like they come from nowhere. They aren't from nowhere, they're from everywhere. She's reasoning from a multi-layered memory system that connects emotional events across time. Women also reason with a strong orientation toward attachment stability. If the connection feels stable, her mind relaxes, her emotions settle, and her decisions become grounded. But if the attachment feels unstable, her reasoning shifts into protection mode. She becomes more cautious, more sensitive, more alert. This is why emotional distance from a man creates such a powerful impact on her mind. To her, emotional closeness is safety. Emotional distance is danger. Her reasoning isn't trying to control you, it's trying to protect her. The female brain evolved to prioritize relationship stability because emotional safety was historically essential for survival. And this is the ultimate truth. Women don't think in contradictions, they think in emotional layers. What looks contradictory to men is simply her responding to different emotional cues at different moments. She's not being inconsistent, she's being responsive to her inner world. Her thoughts, decisions, and behaviors flow with her emotional landscape, which is always shifting, always sensing, always interpreting. Women reason through connection, safety, intuition, and emotional coherence. Men reason through clarity, structure, and logic. When you expect her to think like you create conflict. When you understand how she thinks, you create connection. Her mind is not a maze, it's a map. And once you learn how to read it, everything she says, does, feels, and chooses finally makes sense. Now we go into the deepest layer, the part of the female mind most men never see, the part even she doesn't fully understand. Beneath her thoughts, beneath her reactions, beneath her intuition lies her attachment wiring, the emotional blueprint that shapes how she connects, how she fears, how she loves, and how she protects herself. A woman's attachment system activates faster and more intensely than a man's, which means emotional bonds hit her deeper, but emotional danger hits her harder too. When she feels close, her mind floods with trust, softness, and openness. But when she feels exposed or insecure, her brain shifts into self-protection mode instantly. Not because she wants distance, but because attachment wounds speak louder than her logic. Her reasoning becomes reactive because the emotional stakes feel enormous. She doesn't want to lose connection, but she also doesn't want to lose herself. This is why many of her emotional triggers seem disproportionate to you. They're tied not to the moment, but to deeper fears her mind has carried for years. Fear of abandonment, fear of not being chosen, fear of emotional inconsistency, fear of giving too much and losing everything. These fears are not dramatic responses, they're emotional imprints burned into neural pathways long before she ever met you. When something in the present echoes something in her past, her brain reacts as if it's happening all over again. You're not seeing her overreact, you're seeing her history surface. Understanding this changes everything, because it allows you to respond to the root instead of the reaction. Most men fight the reaction and make things worse. A grounded man responds to the fear behind it, and that's when she softens. And then comes emotional reciprocity, a critical piece of how women reason. Women are incredibly attuned to whether the emotional energy they give is being met with equal presence, not equal intensity, equal sincerity. A woman doesn't need you to match her emotion, she needs you to match her commitment to the connection. When she gives emotionally and feels nothing in return, her mind begins to withdraw. Not because she wants to play games, but because emotional asymmetry feels unsafe. Her reasoning becomes guarded, not because she wants distance, but because she feels the connection slipping through her fingers and doesn't know how to hold it alone. When emotional reciprocity disappears, her patience disappears with it, not as punishment, but as protection. Another layer of female reasoning is tied to emotional ownership. A woman needs to feel that the relationship is something you are both consciously choosing, not something she is dragging forward alone. Her mind constantly evaluates whether your actions match your presence. If you're physically there, but emotionally absent, her brain interprets that as instability. If you're affectionate one week and distracted the next, her mind interprets that as confusion. A woman needs to feel like you're not just in the relationship, but with her in it. When she senses that you're halfway committed or emotionally inconsistent, she starts to pull away, not to punish you but to see if you'll step forward. Her withdrawal is a test of emotional reality, not manipulation. Now let's talk about desire, because this is where the female mind becomes even more misunderstood. Women desire through emotional presence, not effort, through grounded energy, not chasing, through consistency, not intensity. A woman's desire for a man expands when she feels emotionally safe, mentally engaged, and spiritually aligned with him. But desire collapses instantly when she senses emotional instability, neediness, or lack of self-control. Her mind is attracted to strength, not the loud kind, but the internal kind, the kind where you're sure of yourself, not seeking reassurance. When a man stands firm in who he is, her emotional world begins to orbit around that stability. But when a man loses himself in his desire for her, her mind no longer sees him as someone who can hold her emotionally. She doesn't lose attraction, she loses trust. And then there's emotional saturation, something few men understand. A woman's mind can become overwhelmed when a relationship becomes too emotionally heavy, too demanding, or too constant. When this happens, she doesn't want closeness, she wants space. But not the kind of space where she disconnects, the kind of space where she breathes. Her withdrawal in these moments is not rejection, it's regulation. She is trying to rebalance her emotional system so she can reconnect again with clarity. Men often chase harder during her saturation phase, making her feel even more constricted. What she needs is a man who knows when to step back with calm confidence, allowing her emotional tide to recede and return naturally. Women also think through emotional sequencing, meaning they need to experience certain emotions in order to reach clarity. Confusion must happen before understanding, vulnerability before openness, fear before trust, doubt before certainty. You can't rush her emotional process. It has stages, and her mind needs to move through each one. When men try to force clarity before she's emotionally ready, she becomes overwhelmed or defensive because her internal sequence is being disrupted. Her reasoning is not slow, it is layered. She must feel before she decides. If you rush the sequence, she shuts down. If you respect it, she unfolds. Now here's where most men completely misinterpret women. Women don't test men to manipulate them, they test men to confirm emotional safety. Every moment she becomes distant, every time she pulls back slightly, every time she watches how you respond when things are tense, she's observing whether your emotional center remains intact. She doesn't want perfection, she wants grounded strength. She doesn't want dominance, she wants emotional leadership. Her mind reasons through your reactions, not your promises. She needs to see how you handle pressure, uncertainty, silence, resistance, and emotional complexity. Not because she enjoys testing, but because emotional safety is her foundation. If you remain grounded, she relaxes. If you crumble, she protects herself. Another deep truth: a woman's mind values emotional honesty over emotional comfort. She would rather hear a truth that stings than a softness that lies. Women are biologically wired to detect emotional incongruence. When your words don't match your tone, when your tone doesn't match your energy, when your energy doesn't match your actions, her brain picks up these discrepancies instantly. This is why withholding the truth or pretending everything is fine only makes her more anxious. She needs alignment more than reassurance. When she senses your truth, even if it's uncomfortable, she calms because now she can trust the ground she's standing on. Her reasoning stabilizes when emotional honesty is present. And here's the deepest, most important truth about how women think. A woman's mind is built around connection, but a woman's soul is built around truth. She may react emotionally, she may reason in layers, she may shift with the emotional rhythm, but at her core, she wants authenticity. She wants a man who is grounded, emotionally mature, self-assured, and capable of holding space without losing himself. When she feels that, her entire emotional system settles, her intuition softens, her emotional triggers quiet down, and her reasoning becomes clear and calm. Women think through emotion because emotion is how they navigate the world. When you understand this, when you stop resisting it and start working with it, you become a man who can communicate with her, connect with her, love her, and lead her in ways that most men will never understand. And that's when relationships stop feeling like chaos and start feeling like harmony.